This week in Pure Reinvention.
So we want to challenge you to write your reinvention mission. Actually, we'd love to see them. So you can email them to us, hello@purereinvention.com, put it on social media, or call us and share whatever your own reinvention mission is. Maybe you need to somebody to talk it out. We'd be happy to do that.
Episode 55, Your Fresh Start in 2016.
Engage, disrupt, adapt, repeat. You're listening to Pure Reinvention, the podcast for curious people.
Welcome to this edition of Pure Reinvention, where our mission is to create space for the unexpected by inspiring a reinvention lifestyle. Hi, Misty.
Hello, Mike.
Misty, 2016.
We have a great year coming up, and what is also awesome, we should share with our listeners, is that we've started to get some support for these podcasts.
Oh, how cool.
This edition of our Pure Reinvention podcast is sponsored by MB Strategies.
In 2016, lots of cool stuff is happening.
Yeah, we have some tips and tricks on how to embrace reinvention in 2016.
And what is the number one way to get started?
Well, we think that you should get started by saying yes.
It's time to get started, right? Giving yourself permission?
Your first challenge of 2016 is to say yes when you want to say no.
I think, Misty, that is probably one of the most difficult steps that we're going to talk about today is giving yourself permission.
That's very true. I think because it's scary, we've talked a little bit about, well, more than a little bit, we've talked about that fear of embracing change, of doing something different, but we are challenging you this year to say yes to those things that are a little different and a little uncomfortable.
Here's the interesting thing, Misty, and tell me if you've experienced this as well. We say no because we want to fall back into the routine, which is comforting, but deep down in our own psyche, we're hungering for the yes.
That is really true. And everybody has lived with the what if moment where it's like, what if I would have done that differently? And what if I would have said yes to that or tried that thing, that new idea or that challenge?
So we fall back into our old patterns for familiarity. Misty, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think about this. Of all the times when you've tried something new, not all of them have been 100% successful, I'll bet. But a great majority have been successful.
Well, the success is measured in different ways, and I think that that's sort of a sliding scale because even if it was by all conditions, by all definitions, a failure or a failed attempt at something that I said yes to, I think what's really cool is that I try to learn something from it, examine it, and move forward. So the Say Yes Challenge is really just about finding new ways to connect, which is number 4 in our methodology, and to connect new things. And if you're not saying yes to new things, you can't collect the dots to connect them.
That's a really interesting thought. So our fear is that something bad will happen when usually it does not. We usually have a fairly good success when we try new things. And we have to have those new things in order for us to connect in new and different ways or to create new and unique combinations.
Well, and how many times have you or our listeners out there, think about this, how many times have you done something that you thought was going to be scary or horrible and then you did it and you said, oh, that wasn't so bad?
Well, that's usually what happens. I mean, it's usually our own fear which prevents us from doing something because we don't know. So because we don't know, we don't do it. We watch somebody else do it and say, well, that was a piece of cake. I could have done that, or I should have done that. Why didn't I have the courage to do that? And Misty, I'm guilty of that.
Oh, yeah, I think we all are.
So here we are saying in 2016, give yourself permission to say yes and give it a try. And allow yourself to have more things that you are good at and you have good experiences with that you can then use to create new combinations.
So that is part 1. What's our second step for a reinvention lifestyle in 2016?
I think this is the year we should have the not to-do list.
I like it. That's a good challenge.
I've been learning from you. So we create this list of things to do when maybe just as important is to create the list of what not to do.
Maybe your what not to do looks like not fall back in old patterns.
Yeah, maybe the not to do list means make sure at least once every day you say no to something you need to say no to open up the space to say yes to something you should say yes to.
Ooh, that's That's got a lot of layers to that one right there.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Do you
Say
like
no
that?
to say yes. Yeah, I like that.
Say no. Yeah, try that at your next date. Say no to say yes. So think about this. If we're good at making lists of what to do, I think this is really being very much in the pure reinvention thought of being counterintuitive. Let's think about going counterintuitive and creating that not to-do list, because that's going to give us the space to try something new. And that's what we said in number 1, try something new.
Well, that's actually what we say in number 3 of our steps, too, of our suggestions in 2016, is to seek new experiences.
Anything that we want to do more of, we have to have a pleasurable experience. So if we're going to have these new experiences that we're going to open ourselves up to, I think we have to be excited and enthused to try something new. Instead of being fearful or panicked or hesitant, I think we have to smile and be enthusiastic and really give ourselves a pat on the back that we did something new, that we did something great. And oh my gosh, if I do this, what will the next thing be that I can do?
That's a good point. So not only acknowledge it and kind of celebrate it, and that's really good advice. I think that we need to make sure that we're looking for the awareness. So when I sought this new experience, how did it affect my life, my meeting, my next day, whatever it is? So kind of ratchet up that awareness as you're seeking those new experiences.
See, I like that thought process a lot. So A, we have acknowledged that there was a new experience. B, we have celebrated that there's a new experience. And as I'm listening to you, what you're saying is be very aware of what that new experience brought to you. So you can be excited about it and enthused about it, because if we're not looking for what that new experience gave us, we may not see it because of our old habits.
So to be a little analytical about this stuff, not in a judging way, keep it judgment-free.
Well, yeah, because it's about yourself.
Right, be gentle.
Yeah, or beat yourself up as much as you want.
Be gentle, but be aware.
Yeah, but I like the idea, Misty, that we're asking people we are encouraging people to notice when they do something new, and notice how powerful their own reaction is to that, so that they are excited and enthused and happy because they did something new. Well, did it work out perfect? Probably not the first time, but look what that opens the door to. And to me, that's the experience, is let it open the door to what's next.
Maybe you have to analyze what you had to say no to say yes to something else.
See, I like the way you're phrasing that, because when we say no to something, don't you kind of want to know why you're saying no to that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
See, to me, it's like, okay, I know I should say no, and then I just want to drop it. But then I really want to analyze it and think about it and say, okay, I know I shouldn't do that, and I'm going to drop it, but do I really understand why that's so important for me to get rid of? Mm-hmm. And to me, if we don't understand that, if we don't have the ability to self-analyze ourselves, how can we really be sure that what we're dropping is the right thing? So I like what you're saying, that you have to notice, and you have to congratulate yourself, and you have to appreciate the courage that you gave yourself to drop that thing. And you have to be able to celebrate when you do that one thing that's new, no matter what the outcome.
I have to tell you a quick side story. I won't go too far down the rabbit hole, but the word notice has been in my mind a lot lately, because I recently heard somebody, I was in a new group of people, introducing each other and sharing, like 3 words to describe yourself. And one person said, I'm a noticer.
Cool word.
Yeah. And it was cool. So it's be a noticer. That's sort of a sub challenge to the seek new experiences.
Yeah. But I like it but I think what you're saying is be a noticer of yourself.
Right. And it was a nicer way. We learned later, after 1 or 2 drinks, that it really meant I'm just a fun people watcher.
Yeah. But how much fun is it to be able to notice? I noticed somebody the other day said something to me, and they actually thought it was a negative, but they said, I just notice everything. Mm-hmm. And they said it in a way that made me think that maybe they were feeling like they were weird because they were noticing everything. And I thought, well, isn't that a wonderful skill to have when you notice things? Because when you notice things, then when something changes, you notice,
yes.
Right? And when you do something new, you notice. When you have a new reaction or a new experience, or you open yourself up to the next level in your life, you notice. don't you kind of have to notice?
Well, it's a really good practice and a really good habit to start. Just noticing things. Sometimes it's nothing that you can use right away or implement right away, but having that information kind of in your pocket for a rainy day or for a new experience is really important.
So, Misty, we've said the first step is give yourself permission to say yes. The second step is start with the not to do list. Number 3, seek these new experiences, which will help to drive your new enthusiasm. What's number 4?
Number 4 is to enjoy the journey.
I like that. How often do we just kind of go to the salt mines every day? How many times do we need to really appreciate what life is sharing with us?
I know this sounds like something you would see on one of those motivational posters, maybe with, a beautiful beach scene and a sunset, but not.
I can envision it right now. I got my eyes closed.
Well, here we are in January. I kind of wish we were at a beach.
I'm envisioning 90 degrees and sun and sunburn.
But it's not always the perfect picture, but even the salt mine has an enjoyable journey. There are things to look at and notice and enjoy.
Well, I like the insinuation that you look for the lessons, right? That you are enjoying the journey, looking for the lessons, and be willing to adapt, listening to what those lessons are telling you, adapting the kinds of behaviors and adjustments and course corrections. What's interesting to me, Misty, is how many times we see individuals go through life with their head down and just chugging along, doing the same thing in the same way, chug, 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 and never really deviating from that in any way. But if you think about almost anything that really succeeds in life, the navigator also is making, on an ongoing basis, course corrections.
Yeah, you're right.
And so being aware and adapting and shifting and changing as the environment around you suggests that you should. It's a little bit like the woman that I was explaining to you was maybe wondering if it was wrong that she noticed things. The way I see it, Misty, is if we don't notice those things, we can't adapt and we can't adjust to stay on the right course.
That's absolutely true.
So to the woman who I had met that thought that noticing things was bad, we're here to say it's good.
Embrace it.
And not only embrace it, but use that as one of your central core characteristics of how to really blow out your success and how to be ready to make those subtle course adjustments and those course corrections that are coming your way, right? Being open to the signals that are coming your way that allow for you to stay on your own right path based on the feedback.
I like this one too because I think if you really think about what enjoy the journey means, I think it gives you permission to be playful. Enjoy it. Find that enjoyment. So have a little fun with it.
I've got to admit, Misty, one of the real key characteristics you bring to the Pure Reinvention team is that very thing, that sometimes in the heavy lifting that goes on, you have a tendency to put your head down and just really take on a lot of weight and kind of push ahead. And if you're not enjoying it, what's the point?
Right. I'll admit I was maybe it's slow, but slow to me. I was going to say I'm slow to the color therapy bandwagon, this coloring just kind of as a way to relax. But I'm a creative person, and I got a coloring book for Christmas. So
why does that not surprise me?
I know. And it's a beautiful coloring book. Like the drawings are really intricate, and I spend a lot of time. So it is kind of
You're telling us you have colored in it.
Oh, I've colored in it. I've got some great ones. But it's not only kind of a meditation, it does bring out that playfulness. Mm-hmm. And there's happy accidents. You get going. I was coloring with crayons. So I'm usually a colored pencil person. But I thought I wanted to experiment with different mediums, and I tried crayons. And crayons you can't erase. So right. I was going along on a pattern, and then I put 2 burnt orange swirls together when it was supposed to be every other one. And I had to take a minute and make that part of my
new pattern.
Part of my pattern.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, look I'm learning. I'm finding metaphors in my coloring.
But what you said is exactly right. How many times have we made that coloring mistake, and then all we do for the rest of that time is focus on what we did wrong?
Exactly.
And I think what I heard you say is you recognized it, You thought for a minute, and you started a new pattern.
I did.
You started a new pattern, and then you have a coloring book that no one else has.
Exactly.
Right? Because I think somehow there's an art, and this is, I think, what we're encouraging in 2016. I'm thinking, I know. Take those areas which you try that may be different and maybe you haven't got down quite right, and create, like Misty just described with her coloring, create those new patterns. And let that be part of your foundation for how 16 allows you to go on that journey of reinvention, because we might have called it a mistake in the past, but maybe it's a core theme for moving forward.
Well, that rolls us right into our final step to embrace a reinvention lifestyle in 2016.
Personalize it. I think, honestly, every one of us has to be willing to own our own personalized reinvention journey.
So we want to challenge you to write your reinvention mission. Actually, we'd love to see them. So you can email them to us, hello@purereinvention.com, put it on social media, or call us and share whatever your own reinvention mission is. Maybe you need to somebody to talk it out. We'd be happy to do that.
Misty, 5 great ideas to get started in 2016. Very easy to remember and also powerful.
Visit us at our new website. Our beautifully redesigned site is up at purereinvention.com. You can also learn about what's going on in 2016. Our last podcast of 2015 talked about what was coming up, but we'll have some more in-depth information on our We Invent Collective, our reinvention retreats, and our starters program.
As you start on your journey of reinvention, we're there with you with all sorts of new offerings for 16 that I think you'll find very exciting. So as you start on your journey of reinvention, we're there to support you with all sorts of offerings, which I think you're going to find will be incredible.
We can't wait to hear from you.
Misty, thank you very much for kicking off 16 in such a powerful way.
And if you're ready to make a change, make it a change that lasts. Make it pure reinvention.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pure Reinvention. Keep the conversation going and get alerts when new podcasts are up by following us on Twitter at Pure Reinvention or sign up for our mailing list at purereinvention.com.